Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3.
This is Politics Done Right. I am very concerned. About what's going on right now within the Democratic Party. We are allowing others to dictate what is right, what is wrong. We are allowing others to dictate policy for us. We are allowing others to go ahead and hurt our own members. But you know what's worse? Sometimes we are the ones that hurt our own members. And that is what this program today is going to be about. This is a very important program, folks. I want you to stick with me. I want you to share this program because we have a lot. We have much to discuss. We have a ton to discuss. So please stick with this. Most importantly, we need you to share this program. So what are we going to talk about today? Very, very important issue as I wait for sort of this stuff to settle down. Very important issues. Specifically, what are we going to talk about? Let me go ahead and bring the program up. Today's program is titled, Another Ilhan Omar Manufactured Scandal. And the second topic, a Democrat finally leans in. Democrats once again, subtitle, Democrats once again allowed right-wingers to smear Ilhan Omar. And it's not only Ilhan Omar. They allow them to smear Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. They allow them to smear Ayanna Pressley. They allow them to smear Rashid. They allow them to smear all our new women that have made it into the Democratic Party, that have fought to be into this Democratic Party as progressives, as the people, as women of the people solving the problem. They have started to allow them to be smeared, and it's not an accident. You see, they're gaining a following. They're gaining a following throughout the entire party, and they're scared. What they did to Ilhan Omar today, yesterday, and beyond is shameful. But anyhow, once again, Ilhan Omar is under attack. And it is clear that the timid Democrats, instead of coming to her aid, put their tails between their legs and condemned statements that were correct and needed no condemnation. Shame on them. If one listened to her speech, it is one any person of color who for centuries have either been persecuted could have recited. This is a country where all but one group are always made to be concerned about what someone of their group has done. It is an unfair burden, but we take it. It's an unfair burden, but it's tolerated. It's an unfair burden, but it happens. And when you call it out, instead of looking at the burden, it is looked at, well, you forgot about saying this statement in a way that is politically correct for me to concentrate on, or I need to find some reason why I need to attack what you are saying to deflect from what you mean. And folks, for those of you who don't understand right now, I will be showing you the clip of the video that got Ilhan Omar. Well, she's not in trouble because she really doesn't give a flying you know what. But what is important is that the Democrats from Lujan, in the assistant speaker of the House, comes out and he is now attacking her as well. But then he says, please, folks, in as much as we, the Democrats, are also attacking our own, please don't hurt her. Even though she's getting death threats, they're talking about killing her and all of that. But they're saying, oh, and the Democrats are partially responsible because instead of coming to her aid right now and saying immediately that's a manufactured scandal, what are they doing? They're saying, Oh, she shouldn't have said that. Well, what is it that Ilhan Omar should not have said? What is it that Ilhan Omar should not have said? Well, folks, I want you to listen to this. And then I'm going to explain a little bit further. But also linked in this blog is the entire Ilhan Omar speech, an inspiring speech, a speech that talks about America, a speech that talks about belonging, a speech that talks about, well, listen to the comment.
Far too long, we have lived with the discomfort of being a second-class citizen. And frankly, I'm tired of it, and every single Muslim in this country should be tired of it. CARE was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberties.
Believe it or not, that statement is what Fox News and the right wing ran with. Some people did something. Some people did something. And because those some people did something, we are under attack. Muslims are under attack. I can empathize with that so perfectly as a black man. Whenever, and any person of color, whether you're Latino, whether you're Asian, whether you're whatever in this country, whenever there is a massacre, whenever somebody is killed, whenever there is something that they announce on TV, oh my God, there is a murder that it's occurring. Because of how this country operates, the first thing one asks is the following. Oh my God, I sure hope it's not a black person. Oh my God, I sure hope it no es un Latino. Oh my God, I sure hope it's not an Asian or whatever. Because you know the way the news, the angle the news is going to do it, or the way the angle of the news is going to be, is all that group is going to be under pressure then. Because they are going to put the bad act on that one person to represent that group. That is just the reality of what happens in America. I mean, the mere fact of that pigmentation and how one looks. Whenever somebody of that class or that ethnicity does something, for some reason, the majority population have been taught to reflect that person or reflect that evil that that person has done onto the other. So here is Ilhan in her entire speech saying, we are tired of it. Because we have some people that did something. And what was that something? They flew planes into a building. And yes, that was an evil terrorist act. But, you know, she wasn't going there to talk about terrorism or whatever. She was going there to talk about the reason for a CARE. After that terrorist act occurred, all Muslims were considered in America a clear and present danger wrongly and had to fear for their lives. And that's what it's all about. Just like she has to fear for her life right now. Because somebody else did something, it was reflected on her, even though she has lived an impeccable life. That is a reality, folks. If you can have some empathy, if you can put your shoe into somebody else's shoe and see what they have to go through in life, you can see it. But no, Fox News picks up the story and they said she referred to the terrorists as other people. And somehow that is a scandal now. She needs to apologize for saying those other people. Are you kidding me? And instead, when this came out, instead of a robust, strong Democratic Party who looks out for people who are wronged, instead of them coming out to her aid, instead of them saying, my God, how can you attack this woman? Because she told a truth. She just didn't use the words you wanted her to use. Why would you be attacking her? What did the timid Democrats do? Well, she shouldn't have said that, and it hurts me that she did that. Are you kidding me? Do you know how hurt I am when I have to live through when another black person, another Latino, another Caribbean person does something, and somehow when people hear my accent or where people see my hue, I have to be concerned. I wonder if they're going to reflect that on me. That is just how this society has been operating since its inception. And now you want people of color to apologize for speaking a reality because they didn't use that word of terror that America saw when those buildings were were blown down by some evil terrorists. What about the evil that has been effected on people of color throughout this country for years, people? Do you use those words when you're talking about the sliced backs from whips that have occurred on people in this country? Do you really, when you talk about slavery, other people who were so offended about her just referring to it about when other people did something? When you talk about slavery, do you talk about the carnage? Do you talk about how inhumane, how animalistic those who effected those pains on people were? Have you ever done that? But you want her to internalize that pain. Have you ever done that? When you speak about what has occurred to the Native Americans, have you ever used those words and try to internalize that for them as well? As you want her to do every time, every speech she makes is to attack? Have you done that? Do you see the dichotomy here? Folks, if we are to change as a country, we have to get honest. And the reason why this is hitting so home for me is that my good friend just lost his judgeship. And no, this is not a guy of color. It's a white guy. Just lost his judgeship because of a Democratic Party, again, that betrayed him. And this seems to be happening to every single non-standard Democrat there is. Anybody who cares about people, who wants to be progressive, who said, I am going to work for the people. Now, folks, Ilhan Omar, I would like to see every single thinking Democrat, every single moral Democrat, every single Democrat with a heart, every single Democrat that has empathy, go out there and slam that person who came out on national TV, who is the interim speaker or whatever they call him, Lujan, I think his name is, who came out and attacked Ilhan Omar. Because Ilhan Omar did absolutely nothing wrong. They allowed a manufactured scandal to be effected on one of us. They allowed a manufactured scandal to be effected on one of us, and that should not be allowed. Folks, if you want unity in a party, if you want to win, because right now, let me tell you something. Right now, Donald Trump will be the next president again, or rather will be re-elected president of the United States not because progressives are fighting like hell to get new people in, to get people who represent the American citizenry, but because we have a whole lot of Democrats who are not standing up for progressive, who are not standing up for people, who are not standing up for those who need to be stood up for. We better get our act together, and we better get our act together quickly. We better start remembering who we stand for. People, not corpse. People, not corporations. We better start remembering that rather quickly. Because we got a hell of a lot of people to vote. We got a hell of a lot of people to come out in 2018, promising them that this party that has lost its way, that this party that had become nothing but a bunch of wimps, was going to be better because we were going to fight for it. We better get our act together. We better get our act together quickly. Because right now as it stands, with us not defending those who need a defense, with us throwing people under the bus, with us being timid, fearful people, with us not being able to stand up for policies like Medicare for all. But you know, the good thing about it is this. I was pleasantly surprised as we move on from Ilhan Omar, because Ilhan Omar was the first subject of discussion of the show today. But we have other things to talk about. But I want you guys to not fall for the crap. Not fall for it, my friends. Please don't. It is imperative. Es imperativo que salimos ahorita mismo a mantener la dignidad de la gente que necesitan mantener esa dignidad. It's important. It is so important that we come out and defend those who need a defense. Now today, folks, I was pleasantly surprised. Watching MSNBC, perusing MSNBC, just listening to MSNBC in passing as I do several times. And the one great thing that I heard was somebody talking about Medicare for all and not fearful at all that it would be equated, or not fearful at all whether one equates it with socialism or whatever ism one might want to go to. So what I want to do is I want to play this piece for you. This is an important piece, because if this is a change in some in the Democratic Party in the way they're going to address things, then it's a good thing. And I want you to listen to this.
There's another idea that's been out, of course, which is Medicare for all, and Bernie Sanders just unveiled his pretty ambitious health care plan on this, including a pretty ambitious cost, you could say, of how much this whole thing is going to cost. Is he being realistic in his projections, and how does he combat some of what, as you can see here, some of what critics like Sarah Sanders have said, oh, this is socialism, right?
Well, Medicare is socialism. I mean, that was one of the attacks on Medicare when it was passed in the 60s, that Ronald Reagan and others went after Medicare as socialism. It's also very, very popular with Republicans and Democrats. Republicans defend Medicare as much as Democrats do today. I think it's a tricky. I think for Sanders, he does have to figure out how he's going to pay for it, and I think at some point that's going to be something that, if he gets into the general election, he's going to have a stronger position on how he does pay for this. But I think in the Democratic primary, talking about ensuring all people accessibility to affordable health care, that's something that's going to be very popular. How we get there, though, is still up for debate. And he has his position. There are people who, and then there are other candidates have other ways there.
Okay, now that may not seem as important to many, but for those of us who know the kind of party that we have, for an operative, an old DNC operative, Doug, to come on national TV and say that, I wrote a blog about that I want to, it's not the blog of the week that I had here, but there's an important blog that I want to read on that I wrote. And the reason why I wrote it is like, wow, thank you. And the reason why is, and you're going to see what I'm talking about in a minute as I pull this baby up. Because what he did right there is he shows how you lean in. So I wrote this blog titled Epic. Democrat leans in. Well, wait a minute. I didn't play my music. So here is the first blog of the day, and it goes like this.
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay, here we go. Title of the blog is Epic. Democrat leans into GOP socialism attack and dares them on Medicare for all. And I said the following. Could it be that Democrats are finally going to lean into the policies they want and know Americans are yearning for now? Doug Thornell, a former DNC senior advisor, did just that. And it came across as assertive. When confronted with Medicare for all as socialism, Doug Thornell was bold. Medicare is socialism, Thornell said without missing a beat. That was one of the attacks on Medicare when it was passed in the 60s. Ronald Reagan and others went after Medicare as socialism. It's also very popular. Republicans defend Medicare as much as Democrats. Here's the deal, and this is the part that I really wanted to write about, and it goes as follows. The operative implicitly dared Republicans on the fight. Donald Trump wanted to equate Venezuela with socialism. He would then tag Democrats as socialists as he used the Venezuelan chaos for which the United States is partially responsible for as the outcome of having these darn socialist Democrats in power. Now, Democrats have been derelict in not making the Scandinavian countries, Canada, Israel, Australia, France, and New Zealand as better examples. But since Republicans have not yet made Medicare a program many Americans are aware of, once they call Medicare for all socialists, as Democrats lean in, Americans start to implicitly, if not explicitly, start removing the stigma of the label. See, that's important. Trump was trying to do the following. Venezuela, crappy place, socialist. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ayanna Pressley, all these guys are talking about being democratic socialists. Venezuela socialists, New Americans, Democratic Party socialists, crappy. But they never went ahead and tried to say, no, what we're talking about is a free enterprise system, let's say like Australia, Canada, and all these other places. They don't want to use those because all those people are much happier with their healthcare system than we are. And they don't go bankrupt for healthcare. None of that happens, right? They can start businesses because they're not tethered to a company for their healthcare, right? So they don't want that. So now it seems like some of the Democrats are finally getting smart because that works, right? If you have people that are not studying in detail, assuming, tagging the word socialist with Venezuela, even though you are partially responsible for the demise of Venezuela, we can talk about Carlos Andres Perez and all these other things, and I'm going to meet some Venezuelans sometime in the next week or so to discuss it. So once you equate socialist with Venezuela and then come to America, show America all the crazy things that are happening in Venezuela. And by the way, they intend to make it a lot crazier in Venezuela closer to the election. Don't dare think that's not going to occur. Donald Trump will probably drop a few bombs or terrorists or whatever in Venezuela to make things look crazy in Venezuela, then continue to equate Venezuela, socialists, then Democrats, socialists. Americans start to make those alliances, and oh my God, we're scared of Democrats. Landslide loss for Democrats. But here's the deal. The mistake Republicans make by hitting on to healthcare now is by saying, healthcare, they want Medicare for all, socialists. Okay, Medicare for all, socialists. Everybody getting healthcare, socialists. Everybody getting healthcare, socialists. We don't want to be Canada. We don't want to be Europe. All these countries, Medicare for all, socialists. Suddenly, you start to take that false sting that you had on that word, and it then loses its effect. Like I've been telling Democrats for some while, you don't have to be saying, I'm a democratic socialist. You don't have to be saying that. You just need to be starting to tell Americans, I want to do this for you. I want to do that for you. I want to do this. I want you to tell Americans all the good things you want to do for them as a politician. And then when they call you for wanting to solve America's problem as socialists, lean in. Because what they're doing by doing that is they are softening the word for you. They are doing it for you. Right? That's what they're doing. Because if Americans are starting to see all these good things you want to do for them so that their lives would be better, and then for doing those things, you have the big bad Republicans coming in and saying, socialists. You see, that's where Democrats have it all wrong, right? They have it all wrong because they are scared that when they try to do things that Americans want, they will be called socialists. How backwards is that? But it isn't really backwards, because I try to talk to Americans about the democratic establishment left rail. You see, a train is on two tracks, right? A train is on two rails on a track. The one thing we know is there's a left rail and there's a right rail. If that track, there's one thing special about that track, my brothers and sisters. Think about this. There's something special about that track. No matter what, if that train is going somewhere, both the left track and the right track are going into the same direction. And you see, that's the Democratic establishment. That's the Republican establishment. They're the same. They are the same, going into the same direction. And the people on the right that think somebody on the right rail is doing something for them, and the people on the left that think that somehow the left is doing anything for them. For those of us on the left, remember William Bill McLeod, remember Ilhan Omar, remember Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, remember all these people that the establishment Democratic Party is actually trying to malign. In as much as these are people that are singing the praises of things that would be good for every American citizen, not only progressives, for every American citizen in the middle class and the poor. They lie to make you believe you have to follow a particular path. But remember, the tracks are going in the same direction. The left track and the right track is going in the same direction. It is time for a derailment. A derailment means we are not taking the natural trajectory. That's not what we promised these new voters in 2018. We didn't promise them to go the same direction. We didn't promise them that they were going to just get menial benefits. We didn't promise them that they were going to be getting incremental change. That was not the promise. The promise was, finally, you will make a difference. So please join the voting ranks. Please vote. Please vote. We know you are disillusioned. We know that these guys just come to you for a vote and then they forget about you. We know that. But brothers and sisters, come on and vote. Because we as progressives that are trying to get something done, we really intend to push to get something done. So do not be discouraged. You got to go out there. We made a promise. I remember when we went for voter registration with some people, right? By the way, I got to go back and get my voter registration. I missed the date, and now I'm no longer a voter registrar, but not get that cleaned up. But I remember people telling me, I remember going to this park, and these Latino guys, I'm like, hey, man, we need to sign up, and I'm kind of jiving with them and, started to kind of play with them in Spanish, all that kind of stuff, and guys come in like, look, it doesn't really matter. They don't listen to us anyway. I'm like, look, brother, this is different. There's a change coming. We are going to make sure. Sign up, man. You got to go vote. And we got people elected. In fact, in Harris County, we got people elected that shouldn't have been elected. And after being elected, a couple of them turned their backs. Well, of course, you should always make sure that when that happens, that you have recourse. So in the long run, we'll have recourse for that. There will be recourse in the long run for that. Well, actually, not in the too long run, but it'll be incremental, the recourse that we have. But it's important, folks. So important. So important. So anyhow, let me continue with the blog. Let me continue with that blog. Anyhow, New Democrats have been derelict in not making the Scandinavian countries, Canada, Israel, Australia, France, and New Zealand, as better examples. But since Republicans have not yet made Medicare a program many Americans are aware of, once they call Medicare for all socialists, as Democrats lean in, Americans start to implicitly, if not explicitly, start removing the stigma of the label. In my most recent article, which is quarantined till Tuesday at Daily Kos, I wrote the following. Democrats and progressives must remember the definition of insanity. We must not continue to do the same thing and expect a different result. President Obama won because he defied the status quo. He did run as a change agent. Most importantly, he engaged broadly and early. Now, there are certain things within Brother Obama's record that is concerning, but ultimately he showed exactly how one campaigns or one should campaign. I mean, he didn't start. He started early. He started priming the seeds, and I said this in parts of the article. I remember here in Kingwood, Texas, going to visit the homes of Republicans whose kids went to Texas State University and the University of Texas. And I remember going into these homes, and when we would stand up in a circle of 20 or 30 people, and more than half of those people would say they're Republicans, but they're supporting this guy because this guy, their kids brought this book and their kids were enthralled with this guy. And when they read this book and they saw what this guy was all about, they couldn't help but support it. And these people were really, really into Obama. And I remember coming home to my wife one time and saying, man, this stuff scares me. Because when these guys wake up, when these guys get out of this funk of love, and when the right comes in with a vengeance and remind them of their carnality, it's going to be bad. And I said that before he was even elected. Because I understood. I understood the euphoria of doing this different thing and feeling magnanimous about thinking that you're getting rid of your hang-ups, that you're getting rid of your prejudices, but you really were not. You were just getting to a point where you could feel good. I knew that was where we still were at. If you would hear me tell people a lot of times, at that point we yet weren't ready for Obama. We got Obama because he was that great of a campaigner. He was that great of a politician. But he got there before his time because of where the level of this country was at that time. And it materialized itself. Trump is a direct result of that. Anyhow, continuing. Democrats and progressives must not be scared to make the leap. Republicans are scared that we will. That is why they are attempting to make Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and many of the progressive Democrats toxic with the help of the Democrats Rigby speaks about. And I had a mention about Pastor Rigby from Austin in the earlier part of the blog. Should we lean in and make the case to all Americans fearlessly and in a respectful manner as we listen to their wants? We cannot lose. Again, I repeat, should we lean in and make the case to all Americans, Democrats or Republicans, everybody, agnostic, whomever, if we make our case is a case for people, we can't lose. But that's not what we're doing. We're partitioning even us as Democrats who know better. We're doing it wrongly. The problem is that we have a core that is resistant. And because of that, I can definitely see Trump 2020. So if we want to win, we better start leaning in now. One hopes many timid, end the quote from my article that's coming out on Sunday. And it's quarantined from my website till Tuesday. One hopes many timid Democrats take the cue from Doug Thornell. That is the DNC operative that came on TV and said what he said. We must be bold and show a conviction for our ideas, especially since they line up perfectly with what Americans want. With what Americans want. That is what it's all about. With what Americans want. If we can just get there, we would be okay. So, folks, the telephone number is 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646 716-5812. I would love to hear from some of you. If you have something that you'd like to add, mention, talk about, tell me, whatever. In the interim, let me see what I have here. Let me go over to a few of the pages and see if what kind of comments I have here. But it's important. Oh, yeah, I had no audio in the beginning. That's all fixed now, my dear friends. Let's see. Check some more of the website. Not the website, but see what I have here. Para ver lo que tengo que hacer. Para ver si tengo un personaje aquí para responder a la gente. All right. Let's see. I'm looking up for commentary here. Here we go. Michael Rudnin, Trap, you're trolling. Trap, I don't see Trap. Okay, Michael Rudnin. Daniel Ledo, nope. I better try to find a big... You know, this thread is terrible. It doesn't show you all of the comments, and I know that according to the number, we have more comments, and that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to go ahead and try looking for them on my... see if it shows up differently on the phone. One of these days, somebody is going to make the comment system a little bit better on Facebook Live, because right now, as it is, it's not the best. But let's go on from there as I pick this up and see what I have to find. So bear with me, folks. I am almost there. Anyhow, telephone number 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646. Oh, there. Wow, bunch of comments. All right. You see, I don't know why that thing didn't show all these comments. A whole bunch of comments. Okay, let me get to it. Let me start getting it. Michael Egberto, when you see replying to, there's usually a see thread button to see the rest. I know, but you know what? I don't know why it is that on my system I can't pull all those out as I should be able to pull them out. All right, I put there, and let's see. Vamos a ver lo que tengo que hacer. I'm still trying, folks. Bear with me a quick second as I pull up all the commentary from you wonderful people here. Okay, there are 42 comments and I can't get to them. All right, let me just get to the ones that I can see right now. I see I have one from Daniel Ledo. May Wood? No, I'm claiming that thinking about healthcare is a right is an ideological path that leads to tyranny. Oh, really? Ledo, you can't really believe that. Michael Rudden, Egberto, when you see replying, yes, I saw that one. Okay, we see. We are trying to claim that healthcare for all or single payer is stealing the labor of doctors, and or that should a doctor choose to, should a doctor choose to not treat an illness or injury, he would be forced. Can we please speak realistically about issues and stop the fake straw arguments? You are so right, Senor Rudnin. Michael Ledo now says, Rudnin, you see the trap I laid for you and are unwilling to admit your ideological malfeasance. You are we don't call people by names here. So please don't do that. We try to entertain a discussion where everybody has equal access to speak without the fear of somehow somebody disparaging them. So let's not do that when we talk here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to see if I can get more of the comments. Okay, it looks like I found another way to do it. Okay, let's see where is the top. Where is the top? This one says, okay, let's go down here. Okay. Maywood, Daniel Ledo, when and wherever have they tried to force a doctor to perform duties? They might fire him for malfeasance, misconduct, incompetence, but no, they don't force anybody to do anything. And nor can you force it. Nobody wants to force a doctor to do anything. Daniel Ledo, doctors prefer Medicare over private insurance. Less headaches getting payments for services. You want to talk about doctors not getting paid for services? Try talking about all the times private insurance denies coverage. The model for private insurance is simple. Deny coverage. That is corporation. Look, you can't blame the insurance companies. You blame the lobbyists and the government that allows them to exist in the first place in healthcare. the fiduciary responsibility to corporation is to make money to get a profit. Okay, and when you're in a business like insurance, the way to make profit is to deny service. The more service you deny, the more profit you make. That is how the corporation is supposed to function. So you cannot take the evil out of the insurance company when that is how it is supposed to work by design. And that's why healthcare does not belong in private insurance, period. And, one of the fights that we are going to have is, and it's kind of, what's her name? That's when Kamala Harris brought it up where she said, yeah, we need to get rid of insurance companies. And I kind of think she walked it back a bit. But the truth is, we need to get rid of health insurance companies. It'll save a lot of money. First of all, a doctor doesn't have to work with 20 different insurance companies to serve his 400 patients. Why should he have to hire 2, 3, 4 people to fight with insurance companies to decide what they can cover? And Daniel Ledo and other conservatives like to talk about, let the market decide. Or they like to talk about things like, well, you know what? We don't want, it is not up to the government to tell you what to do. That's true. But what you're saying is you don't want the government to decide that we have a whole lot of plans to give you. You want a private company who is for profit to tell you you can only use medicine X, Y, or Z. You want a company controlled by a few as opposed to a government controlled by us all to make those decisions on your life. It is, the amount of thinking that you have to go, the hoops that you have to go through to tolerate that as freedom is behooving to me. The hoops that you have to go through to call that freedom is pathetic, to put it as nicely as I can. Kathleen Morgan, the poll asked people what their ends was and if they viewed it favorably or not. Medicare's favorability came out ahead of favorability of private insurance. You're absolutely right. In every poll, that's what it turns out. That is dodging the... No, it's not. Let's say Mike Wood. Well, it does work a lot better and saves massive amount of money everywhere else in the world. And that's the thing. These guys don't believe in science, and that's why you can tell them that a million times. What we have to do is the following. We have to just get the amount of thinking people that understand numbers to just go ahead and get a majority and effect the change. The thing about after the change is effected, nobody's going to want to go back, because when they start to see the amount more money that they have in their pocket and the ease of having Medicare for all, nobody's going back. And you see, that's what the insurance companies fear. Right now, healthcare is free money. Everybody gets sick. So it's a sure path of constant funding. And as people get poorer and the government picks it up, guess what happens? If the government is going to pick it up, that's even a more continuous flow of dollars. But this time it is a transfer of wealth from the taxpayer to the people. Okay, I forget where I read it, or this is Kathleen Morgan. I forget where I read it or what the percentage was, but a recent poll found that Medicare is viewed more favorably. Yes, it is. It is. It is. Daniela, so you're trying to say that I'm not going to go to that one. Let's see. Let me go back up here. Maywood. Let's go to the top. It looks like it started from the top. Okay. Daniela Doe, no, that's not it. Okay. All right, folks, let me go, and it's time for my quick pitch. I forgot to do my pitch earlier today. But, folks, if you're just tuning in, please go ahead and go to http patreon.com/politics done right. Please visit patreon.com/politics done right. Please support progressive media. Please support media that really supports you. Please support media that is going to provide you with real information, not tainted by the plutocracy, not tainted against your best interest. That's what we stand for. We ensure that what we talk about, what we speak about, is actually for you. Not like MSNBC, who sometimes gets it right. We intend to always be there for whom? You. We won't lie about healthcare. We won't lie about war. We won't lie about the environment. We won't lie about the toxicity of chemicals. We won't do that. In fact, just there's a group now out there signing a pledge of truth. We just signed the Pledge of Truth. We just found it recently, and we signed the Pledge of Truth. All the information you're going to get from all our properties, website, radio shows, everything, is the truth. Nothing more. And we ask you to support us. We ask you, we urge that you support patreon.com/politics done right. Why? We need a whole lot more growth. We need a whole lot more. I'm still trying to reach consistently 100 subscribers. I'd love to get 100 subscribers by week's end, but it's so we need subscribers. It's very inexpensive. We ask that you become subscribers. That is how we are going to make a difference. That is how we are really going to make a difference. For that, we give you tokens of appreciation. How to Make America Great is a book that I'm writing, and as I release new chapters, they go online. You can read right away. I already have completely written, which has been out for a while, As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. And what is that book all about? That book is all about learning the things that we talk about on this show. You learn about the economy like no other. I promise you that this book is written so easily understood that after reading this, you'll understand why it is that these people are screwing us to kingdom come, but at the same time fooling us. Why is it that so many people are able to fall and believe it? Why is it that my good friend Daniel Ledo has been programmed to believe that the corporate state is more humane than a government state? How can one be programmed to believe that that a private corporation who depends on profit for people who are doing absolutely nothing would care more about you than the government that you vote in? The government who the people that you vote in, nobody votes in the shareholders. Nobody votes in any of those people. So at will, they don't care anything about you. They don't have any vestige in you other than to take your money, other than to take that which you give, nothing more. And we're here to expose the truth. We're here to give suggestions. We're here to make things better. An educated voter, an educated American is much more effective in creating a good government. We have the government we deserve because we have been for so long uninformed. And what I am hoping to do, not only with Politics Done Right, but with other programs that we associate with, is for us to form that independent body of journalism, that independent body of blogging, to tell you the truth, to put the power in your hands. Because government is we the people, and government isn't something we should hate, because government is us. Please go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. That's patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Please subscribe. Please join the family. It is very inexpensive. If you also want to give a contribution, please go to politicsdoneright.com and just click on the donate button. Keep us alive. Keep us going. We have a whole lot more planned for this year. If you go to that patreon.com/politicsdoneright, we have an entry that shows you all our 10-point plan for 2019. Please take a look at that. Be a part of it. That is what we are striving for. So please go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. For those listening on the podcast, P as in person, ATREON.com/politicsdoneright. We do need your support. By the way, for those who don't know, I've lost a lot of weight over the years, and up and down, and you know how that goes for those of you who've had weight problems. As an activist, I said, well, I can tell my story, tell you how I got over it and how I intend to keep this weight off now. And as an activist, a lot of us don't eat the best way that we should. So I created this book. I wrote this book, Lose Weight and Be Fit Now. Say no to snake oil weight loss. And it just tells my story of how I did it and how I'm keeping it off. And you know what? It ain't easy. I don't lie. I just tell you the way things are. Why lie if you're going to fail anyway? Tell the truth. Somebody will listen to the truth. And once you hear the truth, you likely will do it. When you feel the pain of weight loss, you know that somebody else went through it and you can do it. Everybody can. I lost the weight, kept it off, and this is how I did it. So lose weight and be fit now. Do it in a year, do it in 2 years, do it in 3 years, just do it. You'll feel better. In my case, I went from catastrophically high blood pressure that almost killed me one day, all the way down to normal pressure with just a few medications. I was on 3, now I'm on 1.5. So, and the doctor wanted to take me off of another. I kind of said, I'm not ready yet because I'm just kind of a little scary for, anyhow. So folks, please go to Patreon, patreon.com/politicsdoneright and join the fold. Before I go, I want to remind you of something else. This is quite interesting, folks. Donald Trump did it again. And the media fell for it. And when I tell you about this, and notice I'm only going to use a minute or two on this. They needed to keep a message going to take the narrative off of not releasing the Mueller report, the narrative off of the immigration fiasco that is occurring right now, the narrative off of the destruction of the DHS and all of that. They need to take that narrative down. So what was Barr likely ordered to do yesterday? Go in Congress and say, oh, they spied on Donald Trump and we are looking into it. What? Another story from left field. And what happens after that? The very smart, not gullible, elitist media, that it's all they're talking about. Or it's not all that they're talking about, but it now becomes a major part of the narrative and yet another story that people have on their minds. I mean, how gullible. And that is why we are here. That is why we are here. Because how gullible can you get? How really gullible can you get? That is where we're at. The gullibility index is amazing. The gullibility index is just astounding. And it is something that we ought to not ever continue to fall through, which for some reason we continue to do. Folks, we're getting close to the end of the program. I thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. I thank you so kindly for being here. We'll be back again mañana. We'll be back again with a whole lot more. We thank you so kindly for being here. You know how we end the show. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how we end this baby all the time. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And I am out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3.